So welcome back to Indigo Moon. Today I wanted to really revisit a moment in time. I have an older brother, and my older brother, after growing up in the same household as myself with my grandparents, moving around, sometimes having to stay at an aunt or uncle or someone else's house, the unsettling in the way in which he was treated. He was treated and told that he was not very nice looking. He had a knot on his forehead from falling, and the knot seemed to be emphasized on more when he was angry, because he was a darker complexion, and he was just always treated a certain way, slapping him upside his head, telling him he wasn't, a good child, and it was more so because he was very inquisitive. He wanted to see how things were built. He wanted to understand the structure. At this age, when children are like that, you need to sign them up to some form of a program, like maybe a mathematics program or a language, so that they can find that energy and they can place that energy in a certain area where they are able to grow through learning, Even hooked on phonics would have been a good observation or option. But we were growing up, and our parents, my father, like I said, was almost like our older brother. He would come into the house and he would do whatever he was doing, but he was always running around. At this point in time, I didn't know my mother. My older brother knew her, and he'd spent time with her, but I had not been introduced to her. So when you look at this type of a dynamic for children to grow up in an environment and not understand the circumstances that they've been placed upon, or have been placed upon them, should I say. Seemed like aunts and uncles, everyone was running in and out of the house. I would be with one of the aunts who really particularly did not care for me, but she would take me with her sometimes to clean up or to do something. Was always something that was motivated by me doing something for her. She was the oldest out of my father figure siblings. But my brother had been told that he was ugly, so finally when my mother came and picked us up and brought us to her house, she had to really spend more time with him and nurturing him, because he kept thinking he was ugly, and he would go outside to play, and he was very sensitive. My older sister later on spent time with him, but it was before my older sister was introduced, or should I say came around us, that my mother had actually made some fine points that helped him. I remember her drawing a figure and drawing curly hair. My mother was a wonderful artist, by the way. She could draw a person's figure and help them to gain insight by allowing them to help in the structure. So my brother, she had drawn this picture of him because the day before somebody else had called him ugly and made him feel really low. And he walked off angry, banged the door open. He was being destructive. And his form of destruction was basically to take out what he was feeling on the door or the handle, whatever was in his way. So when she sat him down and she had finished drawing this picture, she put it in front of him and she said, "This is what you're going to look like. Right now, you're going through a phase, and you didn't get there yet, but you're on your way. People don't see who you will become. You've got to see who you're going to become. You've got to look in the mirror and see more." She didn't spend as much time talking about these things with me. But again, a lot of times when she was correcting one of my siblings, my two brothers, whenever she was spending time with them, I felt as though the lesson that she was spending and teaching them might be a lesson even for me, or something that I could learn and apply somewhere. I didn't realize that sometimes these were seedlings being planted in soil. And by my mere observation, I would be able to take that and apply it to even students later on in life, trying to help them to see more. We don't always see what's in front of us. We only hear things, we might understand things, we might be able to pick up and use our own insight based upon what it is that we have observed. Beauty, they say, is in the eye of the beholder. You've got to see it. Someone else can talk to another person and say how beautiful they are, but if they don't know it, they might focus on ugly. What is ugly? Some people, I remember my step-grandmother saying, that is ugly behavior. And you must never say anything like that ever again. And her southern drawl and her facial expressions when she was expressing these things helped to finite the point and bring it on home so that you won't make that same mistake again. A lot of people don't know what beauty is because they've not had those experiences. All they know is images that they see on the television, images they see on a cell phone or computer. Ugly begins inside if you've not behaved properly and you treat other people as though they don't matter. Ugly can be defined and looked at in so many different ways. But in order for you to grow, you've got to look at your own behavior, look at what it is that you're saying and you're doing. And you've got to make sure that you're learning so that you don't make other people feel ugly. Let us begin to see the beauty that God has placed before us so that we can take that beauty and enhance it through actions, through words, through our behavior. So thank you so much for joining us at Indigo Moon. You have a lovely one.